beyond the territory enclosed by its borders, and that Mexican migrants are a very important part of it.
Okay, I have proudly affirmed that the Mexican nation extends beyond the territory enclosed by its borders, and that Mexican migrants are a very important part of it. So they're extending their borders by migration, okay? It's called demographic warfare. It's to putting the Southwest under their jurisdiction. I said this 11 years ago. They are at it. And because there was resistance in Arizona, they're fighting back. They're getting the support of the Mexican government. Their agents are working here full time.
And our own government, it's now come out. We've had sheriffs on record say what we already knew, that the Border Patrol has been ordered not to arrest illegals except for very short PR stunts for the media. And this, I mean, is this not treason?
It is treason. I have been at this so many years. Everything they do on the border is designed to fail. Everything. The National Guard they put down here, I have aerial photographs of every one of the National Guard outposts. They are a joke. I can go into detail with it. They are useless. Everything they do, the $1 billion that they spent on that virtual fence, the day it came out and they announced it, I predicted it would fail. I went online and I said, this is going to fail, and I said, why? Okay? That was 5 years ago. And it failed exactly for the reason that I said. Everything they do on the border is designed to fail. Our government wants that border left open.
And what's so sick is everybody would live in peace and we would get along if whites weren't told we're inherently evil and bad and deserve to be killed by the media, and that it's cute and fun to have all these mayors, including the former Austin mayor, saying that Hispanics are the God race. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't like the Klan. I don't like that either. But we don't have the Klan having public meetings and openly talking like this. And it's time for Hispanic Americans, white, black, it doesn't matter what color you are, if you understand what's happening and where this road leads, to stand up and say no. Because the big mega banks that are so criminal, that are financing all of this on record, they're not pushing Aslan because they care about Hispanic people. They want to destroy the only escape route for people in Latin America to ever have a future of liberty. And I'll tell you, it's people's minds that I don't like. It's not the color of their skin. And you know, Glenn, you know it. These illegals, they vote to take guns and take property and vote for socialism. And let me tell you, this country's in a death struggle right now, aren't they?
They are a small army. They do exactly what they're told. I can give you case in point, year after year, that you have millions of people out there watching and listening to Spanish language media.
And it tells them what to do. Glenn, we got to have you back again soon. Thank you. Well, for the balance of the hour, I'm going to cover the waterfront with Vincent Bugliosi, the famous prosecutor who convicted Charlie Manson and the Manson family. And I want to talk a little bit about that with him, because I've had him on about other issues years ago. And I want to revisit his calls for George Bush to be brought up on charges. I want to get into his new book dealing with the existence or non-existence of God, because I agree with some things Mr. Bugliosi says and disagree with some of the others. But he's coming up in just a moment. Before we go any further, though, I wanted to direct all the Infowars.com listeners, AM and FM listeners, PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, that we are not just putting all my films online at PrisonPlanet.tv or the expanded archive of these live shows in living color and the higher quality audio podcast, but we're doing special interviews in our new studio, one of our new studios, kind of the Charlie Rose look studio. We also have a green screen studio and another studio developing my new TV show. But we also are uploading expanded extras from films, so much at PrisonPlanet.tv. And it is your membership at PrisonPlanet.tv that finances so much of what we do. It's 15 cents a day, $5.95 a month. Check it out today, PrisonPlanet.tv. But there's a new hour-plus video we just posted with Stuart Rhodes and others, and the headline is, "The States Strike Back." The States Strike Back, Rise of the Republic. Rhodes Bolden and Smith, and they go over the fact that the states' rights movement is accelerating, trying to balance the power with the out-of-control federal government. Just key interview with Stuart Rhodes and others, now at prisonplanet.tv. Don't forget the online video bookstore at Infowars.com. And then there's all our other great sponsors, like NIA, National Inflation Association, during the financial crisis of late 2008. The only good or service in America that didn't at least temporarily decline in prices beside the cost of health care was a college tuition. We have a college tuition bubble here in America being fueled by government's willingness to provide student loans to anybody who applies for them regardless of their future ability to pay the loan back. Students are being brainwashed into getting $500,000 in debt for a college degree that's simply losing its value each year. Student loans are destroying the lives of millions of Americans who would have been better off getting jobs at Walmart. A brand new must-see documentary, College Conspiracy, is coming out very soon from our friends at NIA. If you would like to be among the first to see College Conspiracy, sign up for the free NIA newsletter immediately at inflation.us. That's www.inflation.us. Hard to forget that. And finally, and then we're going to Vincent Bugliosi, this special is only going to be running for a little while longer. A 10-day extreme emergency kit, a $300 value after every $995 you invest in a long-term, super high-quality, gourmet, storable food from efoodsdirect.com. They are the name, the biggest outfit, highest quality, no MSG, no GMO, none of that. Earthquake, tsunami, tornado, how about depression? Social unrest, forced evacuation, extreme situation could require to leave your home in minutes. You will get that with your clothes on your back and become dependent on FEMA if you do not have a plan. Well, they've got the Extreme Pack, and just check it all out. You get free with a regular order. The Extreme Emergency Kit, $300 value, 800-409-5633, 800-409-5633, or visit them on the web at efoodsdirect.com. Now, shifting gears to our main interview today here in the third hour, Vincent Bugliosi has been called the quintessential prosecutor. In his career at the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, he successfully prosecuted 105 out of 106 felony jury trials, including 21 murder convictions without a single loss. His most famous trial, the Charles Manson case, became the basic of his classic Helter Skelter, the biggest-selling true crime book in publishing history. His other books include And the Sea Will Tell, Outrage, Reclaiming History, and the Assassination of President John F. Kennedy, and the Prosecution of George Bush for Murder. And he joins us to cover a host of issues today. Mr. Bugliosi, what would you like to begin with first? Revisiting the Manson murders, your new book, George W. Bush, and your call to prosecute him for murder, and the fact that Obama's continuing many of those same crimes. What's your view of him now? Where do you want to start first?
Well, I thought it was going to be about the book, my new book, Divinity of Doubt. I normally do not go back unless there's some questions on all these other things, or else we end up after the hour with hardly touching on the main reason. I thought the main reason for the interview today, but by the way, Alex, before I go any further, I want to thank you so much for having me on your show in the first place. It's always an honor for me. You're the best in the business. But I was under the impression that the basic interview today, at least I was told that, was going to be on Divinity of Doubt.
Well, I'm sorry, Vincent. I mean, your publicist, as I was there when it was on speakerphone, asked what it was about, and we said, yeah, we're going to cover the book and a host of other issues.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
In fact, there was only one thing, which I didn't even plan to bring up to you, that she didn't want to get into, which begs the question. It makes me want to get into it. So that's proving their prosecutor that I did have that conversation with the publicist.
Oh, yeah. No.
You want to cross-examine me?
No. But what they sent me is that this was just an interview on my book. Let me just touch on two things, and then hopefully we can get into the book.
Well, let's get into the book first, then. Or go ahead.
No, I want to get two things out of the way. The Reclaiming History, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. I just want your readers to know, or your audience to know, that this is going to be a 8-hour miniseries for HBO that Tom Hanks and his people are doing based on the book on the 50th anniversary, which is 2013, 50th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination, about the prosecution of George W. Bush for murder. Many people have felt that it's all over with now. They don't hear from me. I can tell you it's very, very much still alive. I'll be getting next week a report from a constitutional law professor back east who, with 12 members of his class, have put together a legal brief anticipating all legal arguments that if there is a prosecution that Bush and his people could come up with to have the case thrown out of court. I'll be getting that report next week. I have to be very careful, Alex, about my words, but I can tell you this, and I can tell your audience this. It's still very much alive, and I am making progress. I can't say anything more than that, but it's still very much alive. Another interesting point, a documentary based on the book, The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder, will be coming out for the big screen in about 6 months. But I'm convinced beyond all reasonable doubt that Bush took the nation to war under false pretenses in Iraq. 4,500 American soldiers are in their cold graves right now as I'm talking to you, Alex, and yet Bush, whenever you hear him, he says things like, I'm living life to the fullest, I'm happy. And I want to take that smile off his face. In addition to the 4,500 American soldiers, probably at least 100,000 innocent Iraqi men, women, children, and babies are in their graves right now. So I want your audience to know this is still very much alive.
And that's why I wanted to bring up some of those subjects, because you're involved in so many important, interesting things. And you cover the White House memo, the Downing Street memo. It's on record that they premeditatedly lied to take us to war. They weren't wrong about WMDs. What's your view of Obama? Because I supported your move to prosecute W, but Obama has continued the rendition, continued the torture, continued the black sites, continued Guantanamo, continued expanding things with, faulty intelligence. I mean, are you disappointed with Obama?
Well, he turns out to be a guy whose heart is probably in the right place, but he has no courage whatsoever. But let's distinguish between taking a nation deliberately to war on a lie, under false pretenses, with doing things that everyone knows about. I mean, Bush did not let the nation know that they were going to war on a lie. He did not let them know that. Everything that Obama's doing, as far as I know, it may be right or wrong, but there's no deception involved. I can say this about what happened recently with the killing of Osama. I'm disappointed in Obama as well as Bush for not going into Pakistan immediately after 9/11 or immediately after Osama escaped into Pakistan. By the way, what's his name? Osama was at Tora Bora. The CIA asked for 800 troops to go up the mountain into Tora Bora to get bin Laden. The Bush administration said no. So he had, but he had no hesitancy about sending 150,000 troops into Iraq to get Hussein, someone who had as much to do with 9/11 as you, I, or an aunt of mine who lives up in Minnesota. But yet he wouldn't send 800 troops up the mountain in Tora Bora to get Osama bin Laden, who's responsible for 3,000 American murders. And as you know, he escaped over the border into Pakistan. We didn't want to invade.
Well, sure, but I mean, expanding on that official narrative there, he needed that boogeyman to blame it on Iraq. He couldn't have bin Laden dead, at least admit that he was dead. And so that's why they didn't. I mean, my inside sources are bin Laden's been dead a long time. But Vincent, I know you're not going to agree with that.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't know if he was dead earlier or not. But anyway. Osama bin Laden, if he was just killed recently, he's been alive for close to 10 years. He's had 3 good meals a day, and they should have gone after him. If they were thinking, oh, Pakistan is a sovereign nation, we can't cross the border into Pakistan. Yet they could cross the border into Iraq to go after a guy who had nothing to do with 9/11. You follow? So I'm happy that they got Osama. Assuming that they got him, you're saying maybe they didn't.
Well, I mean, look, you're a prosecutor.
Pardon?
They've got the body. They don't give it to us. They have the face print, the photos. They won't give us that. They throw the body in the ocean. I mean, this whole thing really stinks to high heaven. At
a minimum, it was an extremely unwise move for Obama to dispose of the body so quickly into the ocean like that. I mean, common sense, which Voltaire tells us is not common, would tell you you don't do that.
But if he is the ultimate terror mastermind, and KSM is telling us under torture that there's buried nukes in Europe and the U.S. and AP's running with it, you better capture him, even if he's trying to kill you. But it turns out that was all lies. Didn't have a weapon, didn't shoot back. Now the Situation Room photo, turns out they weren't watching video. They lied about that. I mean, Vincent, we're getting a lot of lies here. When witnesses start telling us chains of lies, I mean, it's illegal to lie to federal prosecutors, but how can government lie so much?
Yeah, I know that. Well, it's intrinsic in human nature that people lie if they